Hello, everyone. Say anything to anybody?
Hello.
Hello. All right. Hello, everybody. I am now going to read chapter 4 of Agua Sangre. Chapter 4. The next morning, I wake early again and head out for a pre-dawn walk. This morning, there is no moon, and there are clouds in the sky, so it is very dark. Fortunately, there is usually very little debris on the beach, so I just need to be prepared for any uneven sections in the sand, and hopefully I don't run into a crocodile. Unlikely, but I like to prepare for all contingencies. There is a large croc. I'm told it is 5 meters long in the river near Levon's house, but I haven't found it, and I've casually searched 3 times. Since I am starting earlier than usual today, I go past my usual turnaround point. A short time later, I almost run into some boats coming ashore and immediately think drug runners. I make my way back to the house, make coffee, and let my mind wander as I look out at the Pacific. Levon gets up a while later, and after he plops down in his hammock, I saw boats coming ashore before dawn this morning, I said to Levon. Fishing boats? No, these were military-style Zodiac rubber dinghies. Dark, probably black. I saw a flash of light along the beach and I froze. Must have been signaling to the boats where to come ashore, and then I heard them approaching rapidly before I saw anything, and I hit the sand. No moon, so not a lot of ambient light, but there was enough so I could detect movement. They came in hot, and their speed must have provided enough momentum to make it across the thin strip of sand separating the ocean and the estuary at high tide, and then continue up the river. Skilled pilots. I continued, I have seen fishermen use a similar technique to bring their boats up onto the beach. They come ashore at full speed and target logs someone placed onto the sand. Just as they hit the beach, they raise their engine out of the water, and the logs allow the boat to roll up onto the beach. There normally aren't people out on the beach at this time of day. The fishermen usually start to appear around dawn, so they obviously didn't want to be seen. I wonder where they were going, I asked. That river goes up into the mountains, into one of the red zones. What is a red zone? It's a no-go zone where police and military won't go. Is it what I think it is? Well, what do you think it is? Drugs, narcos, or maybe a military base? I don't know everything going on up there, but I know there are poppy and cocaine fields. I've seen marked U.S. military helicopters flying in and out. I've also seen U.S. Coast Guard cutters and Navy ships making contact with the helicopters. I reply, I would not be surprised if the drug cartels are run by the CIA or deep state and oversee the manufacturing, transport, and distribution of drugs primarily into the USA to fund their black ops programs. The Taliban destroyed all of the poppy fields in Afghanistan when they came to power, so they were made into the patsy for 9/11 to provide a cover story for the U.S. military to go in and secure those fields. God help you if you dare to interfere in their gravy train. There is a reason why drugs aren't legalized, and it isn't because of moral or religious reasons. So those might have been narcos on the beach. Have you seen this type of infiltration before? No, I haven't seen this before, but I've heard locals talking about landings in other parts of Oaxaca, rumors that I never really pursued. Probably not so great for your long-term health to be asking those questions, but it is probably a very good thing you weren't seen. Dropping to the sand and staying there until they had gone was probably a very good instinct in that situation. What would have happened if they had seen me? I don't know, but it is probably a good thing you didn't find out. He did not want to discuss this any longer, so he changed the subject. I've got to head into Puerto. Do you need anything? Puerto refers to Puerto Escondido, which is the nearest city to purchase supplies that we cannot buy in the little pueblo of Santa Elena. Santa Elena is a 10-minute drive, while Puerto is a solid 40 minutes. You won't find a McDonald's or a Starbucks yet, but it has an airport and a variety of stores, restaurants, markets, hotels, and banks. Heck, they even have a Chinese restaurant run by real Chinese people. A nice change of pace when you want to eat something other than Mexican. I also get my hair cut in Puerto for only 40 pesos. So I spend the $2 every few months rather than cut it myself. One thing you cannot get down here is good bread. They use bleached white flour, which has zero nutritional value, the equivalent of eating cake. Occasionally, Levon will make his own bread. However, there are a few shops that occasionally make an attempt at their version of a European bread, but it is not cheap. So most people here eat tortillas instead for 10 pesos per kilogram. I'm not sure Mexicans who make 100 pesos a day want to waste their money on a quality loaf of bread. They don't waste it on cigarettes either. If they want to smoke, they'll buy a single butt for 5 pesos. They will, however, spend their limited income on beer, so the beer is cheap here. Not the best beer, but a cold beer on a warm day is better than no beer at all, as they say. I was about to tell Levon I didn't eat anything, but then again, yeah, pick me up some of that all natural peanut butter, peanuts and salt, no added sugar or hydrogenated oil. I could go for that. He's shaking his head and half smiling. We've had this conversation before. He explained to me previously that Germans don't eat peanut butter. It wasn't really introduced until the 1990s, and even then it was located in the special foods aisle. When he gives me about eating peanut butter, I go back at him about his love for Nutella. The peanut butter here is adequate, but it is 120 pesos, $6, for a small jar. And they only make smooth, not crunchy style. So I usually don't buy it. It is a treat to enjoy once in a very great while. I'm tempted to go with him. I like to eat at a small restaurant just as you enter the Zicatela section of Puerto. It's called El Comedor and has a small pirate ship out front. They specialize in making fruit and veggie smoothies and also make killer burritos, a great option for vegetarians or fruitarians, and I'm both of those. I'm actually a omnivore. I eat everything, but I have limited my meat consumption ever since my little niece came up to me and told me she's a vegetarian. What? A vegetarian? I was shocked. She knew what that meant because she was only around 6 or 7 years old and her parents were nothing of the sort. But I learned over the years how smart some children can be. Her response to me warmed my heart. I don't want to hurt any animals. I promised to her that I would try my best to join her cause, and slowly over time, I made tremendous progress. Almost everything I eat now does not require killing an animal, but I do eat various creatures occasionally, but much less than I used to when I never gave it much thought. I really could go for a veggie burrito and a smoothie. I prefer coconut milk with mango, banana, avocado, spinach, and cinnamon. Absolutely delicious. At home, I add protein powder as well. However, they won't make it using coconut milk unless I remember to bring my own for them to use, or they use real orange juice instead. Now I'm thinking about food, and while I will drink water and coffee in the morning, I try not to eat before noon. Intermittent fasting has a lot of health benefits. Some days I just can't make it till 12. So on those days, I will eat a little earlier. No big deal. 80-20 or 90-10 rule, really. If you can stick to a program 80% of the time, you're doing well. I'm not a professional athlete or a model, but I don't want to burst out of my clothes, feel like garbage, or invite diseases that could be avoided with simple lifestyle choices. Artistic expressions are important for me, probably why I enjoy playing and writing music and why I attempt to improve as an artist. I found that my entire brain is open and functioning on all cylinders when I express myself this way. I think I am a better engineer as a result, even though it uses the other side of the brain. I suspect it allows me to consider options I would not otherwise see. Languages are probably a form of artistic expression as well, and while my Spanish is not fluent, it is good enough to allow me to explore and travel freely around Mexico in areas where they don't speak English. I hear Levon calling Rosie, and I decide to stay at the house. When they leave, I pick up the guitar and start to work on a new tune that has been rattling around my head for a few days. My music tends to reflect my state of mind at the moment in time. When I write a song, I will forever remember what I was feeling when it came out of my soul. As I look up, I spot a group of pelicans flying in a column formation, single file, one behind the other, low along a wave, almost touching. Just when the wave is about to fold over and crash onto them, They pull up sharply into a 90-degree vertical climb until the momentum runs out, and then they majestically perform a hammerhead maneuver, aka stall turn, and flip 180 degrees as they roll over and dive down to build speed and ride the next wave. I affectionately say to the pelicans, "Here comes the Mexican Air Force," when I see them making their way towards me in formation. In my mind, I'm now hearing George Winston banging out Holly and Ivy on his piano as I watch them glide, pull up, rotate, dive, and continue on to the next wave. If you like the piano music used in Charles Schulz's Charlie Brown cartoons by Vince Guaraldi, then I suspect you will like George Winston. His long fingers are very strong and fast as the wind. I can tell, when I've watched him, that he takes great pleasure in how quickly he can move his hands up and down the keyboard. Like a sprinter who can hit the gas and leave you behind at will. How fortunate we are to witness someone in action who is elite at whatever it is they do. I recall the time we were training with the British Royal Marines, and one of their color sergeants ran up alongside me on a joint morning run. I've never been a fast runner, and the guys in my platoon would laugh at me when they ran behind me because even though I'm 6'2", they would say it was comical to see a taller guy taking these itty-bitty steps. Whatever. I was just trying to get from point A to point B, and I had better than average stamina over longer distances. The way I remember it is, this short, thin English bloke came alongside me as both groups were running and wanted to chat. "Top of the morning, Yank." I smiled. "Good morning." "Lovely weather here." "Yes, indeed." And I'm wondering why he is talking to me. I look around, but I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I just get the feeling this guy's messing with me for some reason. "Well, old boy, I have to be moving on now. Cheerio." And he bolted forward like he was riding a horse, leaving me behind in the dust. I thought to myself, okay, challenge accepted. And I decided to chase after him, not considering how long I would last at his faster pace. I focused my sights on him, my target, and pushed it forward up to the next gear. I felt okay and actually started to gain on him. But after a couple minutes, I ran out of gas and hit a wall, figuratively speaking. It was not a pleasant finish to that run. I struggled the last couple miles, and I didn't see him when I finished. He was probably done with his tea by now at the pace he was running. I didn't think of it again until that night when my sergeant brought it up in front of the entire platoon. "Hey, Dawei, nice try this morning. Looked like you were going to lose your breakfast again." I wasn't in the mood. I half smiled and thought to myself, yeah, real funny. You've got me in stitches. But I wasn't taking the bait. "It's okay, Dawei. You're never going to catch him. He was in the Olympics. He can run a 4-minute mile. But good effort." I turned my head to look at him, and we locked eyes, and I nodded. Acknowledgement that they had set me up. Sergeants talking with each other. They know I'm a plotter, but he just wanted to see if I would take the bait. I hope I made someone some money. I suspect I did, which is why I wasn't assigned any additional duties. I never eat breakfast when we have PT, physical training, first thing in the morning. I will drink some grape juice and water instead. I vomited on the sergeant's boots one time after a particularly grueling workout combined with hot and humid weather. I never wanted that to happen again, so I felt better without anything in my stomach. I would make up for it at lunch, and I suppose I was unknowingly engaging in intermittent fasting before it became popular. Surprisingly, he did not get upset, but quietly and calmly told me to go and wash myself up. I sought the Lord, and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Psalms 34:4. This is the end of chapter 4 of Agua Sangre. Hope you enjoy it. If you have any comments, questions,